I was so scared about being an actual landlord that I wasn't seeing the bigger picture.
Right.
So fast forward, I landed a great career, great job right out of the gate. I had the actual job offer before I even graduated.
And what was the job, if you mind me asking?
So I was responsible, which was kind of funny. I was a business analyst in the engineering department at Hydro One.
Damn.
Yeah. And
sounds fancy. Sounds fancy.
For someone that's not an engineer, and I was kind of shocked. But we were rolling out a new software called SAP. And it was monstrous.
Oh, yeah. We had to roll out in Toronto Hydro too. I remember. Yeah.
Just to give you a little bit of a snippet of the corporate background, is that was a huge opportunity for me, because I literally got thrown into the lion's den, and I'll never forget it, because I was part of a team that rolled out this software. And with any new software, it's a behemoth and a lot of questions. So we had to do a lot of roadshows and presentations to the entire company, which is spanned all over Ontario, 7,000 employees. So now I'm in front of everyone.
Yeah.
And all these employees are like, who the hell is this guy? Like, where did you come from? And I'm explaining that I'm just this new graduate, just got into the company. So imagine trying to convince a 25-year vet, hey, this is the new SAP software you got to roll out. They looked at me like I had 6 cents.
So it's an accounting software. It's a huge, like we had it at Toronto Hydro too, and then we had to roll it out, and then we weren't supposed to do it with Treasury, and now they're rolling it in. It's huge. Like it literally touches every piece of the business. Like it's not a small task if you have all these other systems running. It takes years to roll this through, and to get people's buy-in is almost impossible.
And unbeknownst to me, that was kind of the starting gate of my public speaking, because we were putting the presentations together, and now I'm speaking in front of work groups that have 100, 200 people, and I'm getting berated by questions.
Yeah.
And it taught me a lot of like how to deal with an objection while you're on stage, while you're in front of people. So it kind of, the real estate corporate world and the public speaking all smashed together in that 2007 era. And fast forward into the real estate journey, a couple months later, my dad said, hey, let's go get that investment property. Prior to the credit crisis, market was really depressed. I'll never forget it. We bought first property in Hamilton Mountain, a bungalow. And we were kind of just going around door knocking. We were saying, hey, will you take 150? Door slammed. No. And we finally landed on an older couple that was selling their house. And we got into an agreement, bought the property. Needed a bit of work. It was a three bedroom bungalow, and we started renovating it. My dad is very handy, and I learned a lot of my tradesman skills from him growing up, watching him renovate stuff. So it was a good little pet project for us. But I was also working full time, commuting to downtown Toronto, and then I would come home right after work, grab a quick bite, and I would work from like 6 p.m. to midnight. And I would do this every single night for like 2 months straight. Every weekend was consumed working on that rental property. Of course. My dad and I were doing everything. So again, I was learning all these skills. We get a tenant in. That was fun. Get a tenant in. And a month later, we get a phone call that there's water in the basement. A basement we just finished renovating.
Oh, no.
And I'm sitting there going, this can't be good. Pull a wall down, huge crack in the foundation. We didn't see it, because when we bought the house and renovated, it was the middle of February, so everything was frozen.
Yeah. So on a side note for my followers, I tell this to my clients all the time, you can do as many home inspections as you want, but if you're buying a property in the middle of winter, the ground is frozen, you'll never know until it thaws out if you have a foundation issue. So it's a good learning point right there.
And in that moment, I kind of said to my dad, like, what the hell did we get into? Like, I had the great job, and that was the first obstacle in real estate. $9,000 fixed later, something we weren't expecting. And
back in those days, that's a lot of money.
That was waterproofing for one wall.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
But it was a great learning experience. And so kind of just kept plugging away at Hydro One. There was a great company to work for. They gave me so many opportunities to kind of climb that corporate ladder very quickly. Kind of made a name for name for myself in the company. And it just kind of got a lot of recognition. I started really climbing the corporate ladder faster than I anticipated. Jumped from the engineering group over to accounting. I'm not an accountant, so that work group was very
different,
troubling. And that's for someone such as you came from treasury.
Yeah.
But I learned so much about the corporate world and just the power of communication. I wasn't the smartest. I can promise you that. And in a room full of engineers, I got constantly questioned, where's your ring? And I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? Where's your ring? They were, where's your engineering ring?
Where's your PNG ring? Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I'm a business grad. And instantly they're like, well, how did you get in? So that kind of always behind the 8 ball, just trying to work my way up and climb. And I was a ferocious student. Wherever I went, I would ask, okay, so how did this work? Why, how does the electrical grid work? Everyone was so off. They just focused on their work group. Whereas I'm like, okay, wait, how does accounting work? How does this? And then kind of fast forward into the corporate world, I got into a project management position where that was literally one of the best jobs I had. And because I was working with 300 plus people, my project budget ballooned into like almost $250 million. I had huge high profile projects that the province was looking down on. And it was stressful, but I enjoyed it because I'm a problem solver. And it was so cool that I got to one day work out in the field with construction guys. We're building transformer stations, millions upon millions of dollars to build these things. And then the next day I'm with a team full of engineers and I'm sitting in front of them, coordinating them. And in the back of my head, my Brock University days is going, did you ever think that you'd be leading a team of engineers?
Okay.
But what was beautiful about that was that I had to learn so many different communication styles. You can't speak the same to an engineer or team of engineers as you can a team of construction people. You can't speak to the CEO and C-suites the same as a team of accountants. So I found that I had this kind of little bit of a superpower where I knew to just resonate with each individual person. But what made it really fun was when we'd go into big project meetings and I literally would bring all the work groups together. And now I got PhD engineers talking to high school graduate construction guys. And a lot of times people butt heads and it happens in these stressful environments. But I always reminded my team, guys, we're here for one common goal. And if you have a problem with your ego, please leave it at the door or we don't need you. And I always was trying to bring a cohesion of teamwork together. And I felt like I was the conductor leading the orchestra. And again, just going back to that communication world is that you need to be able to speak to a variety of different people. And maybe if we have time, we'll dive into that, the communication and the coaching of what I do now. But I saw a huge gap in the corporate world. But how did I get out of the corporate world? And how did I get more into the real estate space? So
I thought I was supposed to ask those questions.
So,
first off, before you get into that, how long did this project last? Like how long were you at Hydro for?
I was at Hydro for 13 years.
Wow. So from 2007 to 2020?
Sorry, 12 years. 2007, and I left in 2019.
Yeah, and then so the public speaking, were you doing that on the side, or is that how it worked? So then, so how did you get into the public speaking space, and how did you pivot from Hydro to that?
So when I was in Hydro, we had a group called Toastmasters, and it's communication, public speaking, and
isn't it you meet once a week and then you teach and then you get together? So Toastmasters, we had it at Hydro too, I think, and which you had to public speak every single week, and there's a topic, and you had to talk about it to your fellow Toastmasters. Correct. Is that correct?
Yeah. And what was beautiful about that is I always just wanted to be part of everything. And for me to sit and just take a lunch break, that drove me nuts. It's like, oh, now how can I be productive? So when Toastmasters came in, and then they said, hey, we're starting this club in Hydro One. Who wants to be part of the leadership? I said, well, I'll put my hand up. So it was really cool to just kind of go through the Toastmasters journey. I got to coach and help a lot of the people that were terrified of public speaking. And as well, which was great, Toastmasters had a lot of competitions, and I'm a very competitive person.
Right.
So as soon as you got to compete against other speakers, I was obviously on board.
Yeah.
And I have that very competitive nature in me. It's like, I'm going to beat you. So what did I do? I studied, I practiced, I rehearsed, and I was always just finding different ways that my story or my talk or whatever it's going to be would beat somebody else.